Hello, Facebook. It's Tuesday night, so I've got some questions to go through and answer. Last week I had another one of those situations where I think someone had written a question, and I only saw it afterwards, and I think they'd written it during the broadcast. So I'm not sure what's happening there. I don't know if there's a delay in me getting the questions. So if you've got any questions, get in early, because I might not see it, and if you do get it in after the broadcast, I will answer you separately. That question was about, and I have answered it separately, it was about whether it made a difference if you put breast implants under the muscle in relation to whether you can breastfeed in the future, and the answer was no. You should be able to breastfeed in the future whether you put the implants above or below the muscle. The only thing that might potentially affect your ability to breastfeed in the future is infraareolar incision versus, well, an infraareolar incision, which is the bottom of the areola, is the brown bit around the nipple. If sometimes in this country we don't use that much, they use it a lot in America. A nice incision heals well, but it can potentially affect the ducts more so than the inframammary incision, which is the one I usually use, which doesn't affect any of the breast tissue or any of the ducts. So assuming you can breastfeed already, it shouldn't make a difference whether you have the implants above or below the muscle. There's that question that was in last time. So I had a few questions this week about tattoos, and also one about implants and lifts, and lifts with implants in. So the tattoos, we've had a lot of, I've had quite a few photos, and basically it depends on the location of the tattoo and the size of the tattoo, because if you can pinch it, then you can remove it. So, for instance, the first one was a big one on the shoulder, and I can't really do anything about that one, so I'm really sorry. I can't. It's just too big, and I can't really excise it, and the shoulder's not a good place for a scar. The skin's quite tight. It's not great. The other one was a big one on the thigh. So that one, it could be removed because the thigh's got a bit of skin laxity to it, although it will leave quite a long scar. It leaves the scar as long as the length of the tattoo. And the other thing, that one is quite dark. I think it looks like a cover-up potentially. It's also got colour in it, particularly green pigment and things, which doesn't respond well to laser. So I think that's a tricky one to know what to do with, because I think laser will be difficult on it, difficult to fix it. I think you haven't tried any laser yet, so that might be worth trying, or at least speaking to someone who does laser, because I don't do laser. I could certainly excise it for you, but it will leave a big scar and it will leave several goes. And the other one we've had in just this evening is several tattoos on the tummy and also one on the wrist. The ones on the tummy, there is quite a lot of spare skin in most people on the tummy, so although they're quite big tattoos, I might not be able to get them in one go. It might take a couple of goes. We will answer you individually, because you want to know about prices and things, so we'll answer you individually about that with prices. But that is a potential one, with the one with the fish and the seashells and things on the tattoo, on the tummy. But also, as I think you're quite savvy, because you've said about the wrist, there's quite a big one on the wrist, and there isn't much spare skin on the wrists, and that's not going to be great for a scar. So I think the wrist's probably not a goer, but the tummy ones are. So big tattoos, basically pinch. You can pinch more of the skin on your tummy than you can on your shoulder. So the tummy's a good place to remove a big tattoo. The shoulder's not. The thigh is a good place to remove a big tattoo. The leg's not. The skin's tighter than the thigh. The wrist isn't a good area. Some people have them here. It's not a great area. Also, it's not a great area because when you're writing, you're often leaning. If it's your dominant hand, you're leaning on the scar, so it's not a good place to have a scar here. So that's tattoos for you. The other one was about the very unfortunate story of a lady who has had PIP implants, had to have them removed and replaced. Was never quite sure, wanted to replace them about the same, but was never quite sure about them, had them replaced, didn't feel like they had a great result, went back to the surgeon who replaced them, because the original clinic that put them in wouldn't help, so had to seek help from another surgeon. The other surgeon replaced them, wasn't happy with it, then went back to see that other surgeon, and that surgeon was struck off or was taken off the medical register or something, so couldn't get help with that other surgeon. Now left in a situation with the new implants that she doesn't like, and they're sitting too low. Can I have a lift? Stroke reduction, it says here. If you already have implants in, the answer is yes, absolutely. And it's if people who are borderline for a lift with implants, it's not unreasonable to do one first, whether it be the lift or the implants. It's perfectly reasonable to do implants, put implants in, and then to do a lift at a second stage. And many surgeons will do that normally, will not do a lift with implants in one operation. They'll do it in 2 operations. So if you've already got implants in and the volume's okay, the size is okay, then you can have a lift, no problem at all. If you're asking about reduction, I'm guessing the size is a bit too big. So then your options would either be to have a reduction, which would be fine, or to downsize the implants, i.e. to change the implants for smaller implants. Depends on how long the implants have been in for. If they've been in for a long time, I would prefer to do a lift and smaller implants. The reason for that is it's a bit like when people have got an asymmetry, and this is something we can talk about in the clinic, but if you've got an asymmetry, one breast bigger than the other, and you need a lift with implants of both, some people would say, look, I'll do a lift them both, I'll reduce one, and then put 2 implants the same size in, just because the implants are the same size. Personally, I always think that it's nice, if you can, to keep as much breast tissue as possible. And so if you feel like you've got implants in and your breasts are a bit big, rather than doing a breast reduction, I would downsize the implants, use smaller implants and do a lift and keep as much of your own natural breast tissue as possible, because then you've got more of your own natural tissue to hide the implants. It's always a fight. It's always a balance with implants. You're trying to get these implants covered by the same amount of breast tissue. And the more the balance is in favour of breast tissue versus implant, the better result you're going to get with regards to it feeling natural and what have you. Because you've got more breast tissue to cover the same amount of implant. If you start doing a reduction, reducing breast tissue, then you've got less breast tissue to cover the implant. You're more likely to feel the edges, see the edges get rippling, and all the issues that you can get when you have insufficient cover over the implants. So it can be done, and we can talk about this, and I have done it. I have done reductions, and so I've got a double chin there. Not a good angle for me. I have done reductions and chin down with implants, but and if your implants are quite fresh, then you might want to keep your same implants. It'll probably be cheaper as well, so that's something to consider. But we'll talk about that in the clinic. So those are the questions I had. If I had a that's for me to write a comment. Okay, so I don't think I've got any. I don't know if I've got any live. I loved it the other day. A couple of weeks ago, we had some live questions coming in, which was fantastic. We had a bit of a dearth of that. Well, I say that we had them last week, but I missed it, I didn't miss it. I didn't see it. Next week, I'm away, so I am overseas next week, so I probably won't be doing it. I wouldn't imagine. So sorry to disappoint. But next week, week after that, I am back in the UK, so I will be doing it the Tuesday after this. Goodness knows what date that is. But Tuesday, 2 weeks today. So, time filling, looking for questions. Nope, not seeing any. So if there is any questions that are being asked as I speak and everyone else can see them and I can't, I'm terribly sorry. I apologise, and I will answer them individually. If not, then get them in between now and next 2 weeks, bumper edition in 2 weeks, and we'll go through any questions and we can talk about my visit to Bucharest. I'm going to Bucharest, yeah, that should be good, should be exciting. So hope to see you there 2 weeks time, and might be posting some pictures from Bucharest. I shouldn't promise that, because if I don't, it'll look bad. But I might put some on Instagram and stuff, some photos in Bucharest. But I might not. So don't just tune in and see. So see you 2 weeks time. Hope everything's well, and thanks for those questions, all you people out there who've asked me questions, and please do keep them coming. Email Laura or Facebook or Twitter or whatever me. Speak to you soon. Signing off.